Bison Media Zone on WDAY Extra.
Welcome, everybody, to this week's edition of the Bison Media Zone, presented by Northwestern Mutual with our guy Mike McFeely from the Forum of Fargo-Moorhead. I'm Dom Izzo. Bison football back on the field this week. North Dakota State has its homecoming game and Missouri Valley Conference opener with the University of South Dakota. No easing into the Valley play, Michael, with this one.
No, but I think it's maybe not quite what we thought it was going to be with just the way. I know that you had Travis Johansson on your hot mic program earlier, but I don't think it's the same challenge maybe that we thought it was going to be. It'll still be plenty difficult for North Dakota State, but it's not like 1 versus 2. The talk before the season, if you remember, was we thought this could very well be number 1 versus number 2, and it's not that.
No, and we'll get to USD struggles in a minute. I thought it's the best way to start our show here today by ripping Bison fans' guts out by watching the last 4 minutes of what happened in Vermillion, because I clearly Tim Polisic was talking about that yesterday in the press conference. So
that's because you asked him about it.
I did. So let's pick it up. This Marty Brown scored here, make it 28-17 Bison with 4 minutes to go.
And we all thought it was over.
The game is over. At a 20-play drive, but this drive, not the game-winning touchdown, when USD went right down and scored
that was
to make it
4th down.
Yeah, that was a
right
huge
there.
play there to Javion Phelps.
Yeah.
And I thought this was the killer drive, Mike, not the actually what ended up happening to win the game.
Yeah, if I recall, and maybe I don't, but South Dakota converted a long 4th down. It was like 4th and 14, I thought, or something, to go down and score the touchdown. That was sort of like you went, whoa, okay, there's something going on here. NDSU had a bunch of injuries in secondary.
And then this happened on the ensuing kickoff where they had a perfect kick, right?
Yep. So a bunch of different things went USD's way, and they took advantage of it. And, it was just a disaster from there for NDSU. But as it turned out, it didn't matter. North Dakota State ended up getting to the championship game and winning it. It's just that the regular season could have ended on a much better note. And actually the next day, the NDSU got the 2nd seed anyway.
It's like the game didn't happen.
Right,
almost,
because we were sitting there in Fargo going, oh my goodness, this is going to cost them, 3. That was the 4th down.
That was the amazing play there to Phelps there. It was fantastic.
We were going, oh my goodness gracious, that's going to cost NDSU 3 or 4 spots, and the seedings are going to have to go on the road to Montana State for the semifinals. And then as it turns out, it's like, well, no, they got the 2nd seed. And I think deservedly so.
Yep.
You can go back last year. USD played a Division II team. They had a game canceled against Portland State, which would have been a Division I win, but I think things worked out the way they should have worked out.
The thing on this, though, USD's beaten them twice in the regular season, and I think people maybe don't remember that game. It was homecoming 2023, and that was, I was mentioning on the hot mic earlier today, that one was another one I can't quite put my finger on. The Bison sleptwalk through that game, and USD beat them.
That was one of those weird games quite frankly, under Matt Entz. No disrespect to Matt. I like Matt. He's a great football coach, and he won a couple national championships. But there was at times it seemed like there was sort of a
malaise.
And it was almost like up until that point, USD had really not challenged NDSU other than the game 10 years ago. And that was just like, nobody remembered that. But I mean, I think the year before NDSU beat USD like
by 20.
But 40 to 20 or something. It wasn't even close. And so it almost felt like the players were going like, okay, it's USD again. It's homecoming, big deal. And they just and their defense wasn't. That was at a point in the season in 2023 when they had a new defensive coordinator and things weren't. There was just some weird things happening defensively where you went, what was that?
Well, Carter Bell is getting in, scoring 2 long touchdowns.
Yeah, and nobody's within the same zip code as Carter, and it's like, okay, well, that's odd. So I think by the end of the year, NDSU had its defense figured out, and they showed it down in Vermillion. But the last 2 regular season games have been unexpected defeats in both times, I think, for NDSU.
Aiden Bauman is going to join Mark Gronowski, his guy who started 4 times or more against North Dakota State. Bauman will make his 4th start against the Bison on Saturday. He's won to, obviously, the playoff game. Jackson Dutenhofer, I think, normally took his head off in the game. But what do we make of that? How much for experience can count when so much is different around Bauman that he's back?
But it makes a difference because even though things are different around him, he's in the middle of everything, right? I mean, if they had a rookie quarterback or something that had not played in Fargo and had not played North Dakota State, I don't think it's quite the same as it used to be when teams would come in and just melt down in the Fargo Dome. But if it was like a true freshman or a redshirt freshman or a transfer that came in, had not experienced it before, I think it would make a difference. I think Aiden Bauman is clearly one of the biggest pluses for USD.
Now, and Travis Johansson was just mentioned, though, his line is going to be pretty much all new that hasn't experienced the Dome, and we've seen that backfire on teams in the past.
And I just looked it up before we came on the air here because this is what I do. As of 5 minutes ago, there were only 159 tickets remaining according to the Bison's, the Bison's ticketing website.
So fans are coming.
It's going to be an 18,000 type crowd. It's going to be homecoming. I think the fans are kind of getting re-engaged with NDSU football, and there's really been more to get re-engaged with because I think fans, we all know they're pretty smart in Fargo, and I don't think they like the fact that USD not only has beaten them twice, but there were some weird celebrations going on last year down in Vermilion. It was
Bob Nielsen was in tears,
but the players. It wasn't even the Coyote players weren't even celebrating. They were like running to the NDSU sideline and like doing things, and talking, and it was just a weird vibe. It was like anger more than like celebration for USD, and so that's if that counts for anything, I don't know. NDSU has a bunch of new players too, but
I will say,
we'll see.
Paulsek has been, and we've talked about this numerous times since he took the job, has been way out in front on that. He's been out delivering tickets. He's been. I think that's another reason as well that he's re-engaged the fan base there to come watch the games.
Yep. And I think that fans were again just sort of like Matt Entz never wanted to kind of get out and do the booster thing and sell. I think that he was again great football mind. Obviously a good head football coach. A great recruiter. I mean, he's got some players that are in the NFL right now at major universities. And the number 2 ranked team in the country, by the way, the running back was a Matt Entz recruit. But I think that Tim Paulsek just has more of an outgoing personality. He lives for this stuff. He's just engaged in football all the time and wants to do that. Speaking of Bob Nielsen, with what we know now that Bob is no longer the coach, I'll put it that way, in South Dakota, he must have known about that, don't you think, before that game?
Yes, because the reaction that he had. Yes.
I mean,
I think now we can put the 2 and 2 together.
It was a huge victory for South Dakota, regardless of whether Bob was going to stay or going to go.
And they had beaten them the year before.
Yes, but it was a huge victory, and the way it happened, coming from behind, USD was dead after NDSU went on the 99-yard, 15-minute drive or whatever it was. That game was over. Yeah. And for them to come back and win that game at home in that situation to get a top 4 seed, that was a really big deal.
And a share of the title, too.
Yes, and knocked NDSU from winning the title by itself, by the way. They were forced to share it. But I think if you look back, Bob Nielsen was a pretty stoic guy, pretty stoic dude, and a great dude, by the way, too. I like Bob a lot for all the years we covered him. I think maybe there was something else going on behind the scenes.
Now, USD has been beset by both portal and injuries. We'll get to the portal stuff in a minute. We found out Charles Pierre Jr. got injured in the first half of their loss at Lamar. Out of nowhere, I'll say LJ Phillips has emerged as their new guy. 301 rushing yards he had against Northern Colorado. 4 touchdowns last week against Drake. I mean, so they've got another dude.
They've got a guy.
And he's not Travis Tice. He's not Pierre. And Johansson was telling me he's somewhere in the middle, that the Bison are going to have to stop.
Right, and I think I'm not discounting what he's done. He certainly looks like a really good running back.
Come into it, though,
but you know where I'm going with this.
Yes.
This is going to be a whole different test. And they also don't have the depth at running back that they had. I mean, in the past they had Travis Tice, they had Charles Pierre Jr. They had a number of guys that could run. I think for now, he's pretty much it.
The guy.
And so it's going to be a different test. And with apparently some of USD's struggles in the passing game so far this year, I'm wondering how that's going to play into it too. Is they haven't had the same passing game.
Well, Bell's gone. He graduated finally.
And so can NDSU focus with their good defensive front more on stopping LJ Phillips and then see where that goes. But if he goes crazy, I mean, if he starts breaking tackles and starts, getting downhill, as the coaches say, and gets over 100 yards, it's going to be a very interesting game Saturday at the Dome.
All right, so we made a graphic here going through this yesterday and every team has had losses through the portal and injury, and graduation. But South Dakota, this one seems maybe more so than most, and maybe it's just because of who the Bison are playing this week. Look at these are the guys since they beat NDSU. Look who they lost. Mike's Grace was the Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah.
Went to Kentucky. Sheree Barrows, cornerback at Iowa. Gary Bryant III, top tackler, is at Syracuse. Bryce Henderson, all-conference offensive lineman, went to Vandy. Jordan Larson, right next to him, went to Duke. Joe Cotton, that's 3 offensive linemen, went to Power 4 schools. Lombard was on that offensive line. He graduated. Tice is in the CFL. Karan Adams went to Cal. Carter Bell's done. And Charles Pierce. I mean, those are all conference guys.
And that's aside from just the volume, it's the quality, right?
Yeah.
I mean, McKeith Grace was just about unblockable last year.
Got by Gray Zabel a couple times.
He beat Gray Zabel a couple of times last year in that game. Early in the game,
Yes.
he went, whoa!
Yipper.
I mean, whoa! Okay. And so he was just a difference maker on the defensive line. And then, of course, the offensive linemen and some of the skill players as well. But, South Dakota State lost a volume of guys who were all really good, to Washington State and some other places. But I think South Dakota's loss is rival.
Yeah.
SDSU's
just when you
losses.
see it like that.
But, look at North Dakota State's losses, not only through the portal, but the graduation.
Yep.
Cam Miller,
Yep.
Gray Zabel, Mason Miller. In the portal, it was Marty Brown. It was TK Marshall graduate. He was a key player. I mean, it wasn't big numbers running, but TK Marshall was
Cody
a big
Heisman
player.
left
Cody
in the portal.
Heisman left
Yep.
in the portal.
Yep.
Enoch Sibomana left in the portal.
Eli Mostart
Eli
graduated.
Mostart.
Yep.
Will Mostart.
Nick Kubitz graduated.
Yep. Dylan Hendricks graduated.
Yep.
I mean, there's Luke Wirtz. I mean, just tons of experience and talent. So it's not just USD.
Yeah.
It's not just SDSU. NDSU lost plenty too. But I think something that's grated on the folks in South Dakota, from what I can tell, is that Tim, not Vermillion, but in South Dakota,
General.
talking large, writ large, as they say, is Tim Paulsek keeps bringing up the 88% number. That's been brought up to me a couple of times by South Dakota type people. He keeps talking about this. Well, it helps.
It's a thing.
It helps
Yeah.
to bring back 88% of your players to your football team in this era because you're losing guys to the portal all the
saw right
time,
there.
right? I mean, but despite NDSU's losses, they brought back an awful lot as well and a lot of talent, and then plugged some holes with some transfers. Has there been a transfer that's been like a huge impact guy so far? DJ Scott, I
DJ
guess.
Scott's been okay, but not huge. He's been
He's
impact.
been the
but not
second
huge.
running back.
Yeah, nothing.
Other than that, it's nothing
popped
that's
yet,
no.
not in
It's
the
all
first
it's
3
all
games.
homegrown guys.
A guy that they did bring back, I want to give you some runway to talk about at the linebacker spot, who was replacing Enoch Sivamana, is Donovan Woolen, and just what
love
he's
this guy.
done. I
You
do
love
but,
this guy.
but what he's done, though, man, is it
Yeah.
not required to say, okay, he's making splash plays all the time.
It is, and again, because we do what we do here in Fargo, and we're trying to be honest with our viewers and our readers, is you have to look at the competition.
Yep.
It has not been good,
Nope.
but surely Donovan Woolen has been one of those defensive players that you can't miss. If you're even a casual fan,
No, he just pops up
you
the
watch
screen.
him play and go, oh my goodness gracious. A, he's huge, tall-wise.
Yes.
And then secondly, he's really fast.
Fast.
And then thirdly, when he's one-handing interceptions in Tennessee and running them back for touchdowns, it's sort of hard to miss the guy.
Right.
He's really good. I know Enoch Sivamana would have been. I don't know that he would be starting right
don't
now
know
in
either.
Fargo,
Yeah.
but he certainly would add a depth and experience for NDSU. But that's one where you kind of go, well, maybe it opened a door for opportunity for Donovan Woolen, sort of, maybe removed any potential friction
Yes,
that might have
correct.
been there.
You're right.
And so maybe it was I don't want to say a blessing in disguise because the Bison would sure take Enoch, and he was a really good player late last year, but it's worked out okay.
We'll break here on the BMZ. We come back. We'll look ahead to the spotlight games around the FCS in Week 5 of the season, and we'll wrap things up here on WDAY Extra. We'll come back right after this. All right, welcome back here on the BMZ as we wrap things up. I always do this with Michael because I'm interested to get his reaction of these spotlight games this weekend.
Spotlight.
The Little Brown Stein up for grabs on Saturday night in Missoula with
The
Idaho.
Little Brown Stein? I
Idaho
did
and
not
Montana.
know. I did not know
That's
the Little Brown
rivalry game
Stein.
there. I'll be watching that one. Anyone cut your eye here? Mercer and ETSU are two playoff teams the Bison have seen?
Yeah, that one doesn't do anything for
Okay.
me, and neither does Abilene Christian Incarnate Word. So I'll
You're left with that one then,
I'll
I
be
guess.
at the Fargo Dome covering the game. I'll
Yep.
probably go out to a watering hole, perhaps herding horns for a beverage and a hamburger after the game, and I'll probably head home and watch.
I'm not going to make the end of that one, though.
Idaho, Montana. Oh, yeah, you're right. I won't. But if it's for the Little Brown Stein.
It is for the Little Brown Stein. What do we make of the Grizz? The Grizz found something, it looks like, in the fourth quarter against UND. They ran over Indiana State as they're expected
whatever.
to. What do we make of Montana
I don't know.
far?
I'm not sold on the quarterback. I'm just never generally sold on Montana in general. They're always good enough, but they're never. I mean, I don't think they were as good as NDSU in 2023. I know that people are going to get mad at me for saying that, but I really don't care.
Bison were humming at the end of 23.
They were, but they had, but Montana won the game
Yep,
fair and
they
square.
did.
They went to
Yep.
Frisco. Good for them.
Yep.
That was kind of the one year where you went, okay, they overachieved a little bit because maybe some other teams were down or having some problems. NDSU.
And that game was in Missoula.
Which
that
is
game
that,
was
but
in
that,
Fargo.
but that was we go back to NDSU losing to
South
USD.
Dakota. Yep.
Well, there you go.
Correctamundo.
You know,
Yep.
if they win that game, maybe and they don't get beat by 100 up in Grand Forks, maybe they are back at home and they're
Yep.
in Frisco again. But anyway, that's going to be the most interesting game to me. Is going to be that Idaho-Montana game.
Yep.
Idaho is one of those teams also, Dom, that like everybody was all excited when Jason Eck was there, and they're coming. I don't know. I mean, they've got to the quarterfinals, I guess, which most programs would think that's great.
Yep.
You know, I
They
mean,
lost to Montana State handily last
yeah,
year
I
in
mean,
Bozeman.
but they just have never. I don't think they've ever really been a true national title contender.
No, I mean, granted,
And
they've just got their act together in FCS
Right.
when Eck was there.
Yep.
If they get that one though, they go to Missoula and win. That'll raise their
Yeah,
profile.
yeah.
there
I
if
think
they're able to
anytime
do
you win in
that.
Missoula, I
Yep.
think that's a great victory.
Absolutely.
I'm just not sure where any of these teams are. I'm really not. I don't know how good South Dakota is coming to Fargo.
On South Dakota State, I'm not sure.
I don't know how good South Dakota State is. Truly, I think their defense is pretty good from
Yep.
just the couple of games I've seen.
Yep.
I have not watched all of them.
Great. Yep.
I don't know how good UND really is. I think they're pretty good, but I don't know.
Let me throw one more at you. How good is Tarleton State?
To me, I think they're the ones to keep an eye on.
Okay.
And maybe I have that Texas bias. And one of the reasons I say that though is because Abilene Christian last year, I know NDSU ran them out of the building in the end.
Still had athletes,
but
man.
boy, when I walked onto the turf before the game and saw some of the skilled position athletes that Abilene Christian had, I went, oh my goodness,
Yep.
this looks a little different than some schools in the Valley, just in terms of having a bunch of 6'3", 210-pound receivers and a quarterback last year who could
sling it.
who could
Yep.
sling it,
Yep.
playing for Western Kentucky now. And so to me, that was, if Tarleton could get a couple of lines of scrimmage that were okay, wouldn't even have to be outstanding,
Yeah.
but okay, then you go, well, all right, they might be all right.
Here, I'm going to throw this at you. You roll your eyes at me, but if they already have the FBS win,
Mm-hmm.
if they run the table or 12-0, they're going to be a top.
They
They
gotta
have
be
to be
a
a
top
top
two
two
seed.
seed. You have
Have
to
to
put
be.
them there,
Yep,
right?
yep,
They
yep.
beat Army. It's not like Army, like some also ran. Army won 10
Right.
games.
Yeah,
last
it's not
year.
like you're beating Mass,
No.
UMass or Connecticut. I mean, you're beating Army. They're a pretty good
That
program.
league is better, though. The United Athletic Conference is better. That's where Abilene's in
Yeah.
that league. Austin P is in that league. West Georgia's in. They're all ranked in the top
Right.
25.
And
right
I
now.
think you and I were talking off the air that I think the UAC now has taken the place of the Southland
Yes.
Conference
Yep.
in terms of that, third level
Correct.
FCS
Yep.
league. I still don't. The CAA, I don't know what that is. Rhode Island is in the top 10, but what does
As
that
is
mean?
Monmouth, too. Yep.
Yep.
So
I don't know what
yeah.
that means, but I think the UAC is probably the third best conference.
I would
in
think so.
FCS.
Yep,
I mean,
no doubt. All right, we got to roll. Don't forget, we've got Bison soccer for you tomorrow night here on Extra as the NDSU opens up Summit League play with Omaha. Coverage note the start time, 6 o'clock for that tomorrow night. Then Saturday, we're back with you for Bison Game Day live at 10 a.m. The kick at South Dakota at 1. And we'll wrap things up with Bison postgame live on WDAY Plus and on Inforum.com. Thanks to Mike for stopping by. We'll see everybody at the game on Saturday.